Good day, Mr. Marks. This is a group that is doing Pitch Block Reloaded, a game similar to Sudoku, but with images. What we did to enhance this game is that we created a database to store different players and their statistics. Also, we have an administrator that could view and update different player accounts. Now, what we'll do is simply walk through these classes briefly, stating what they do, and then we'll show you the basic functionalities of the game. And the members of the group are Jerome Allicock, Hilary Benjamin-Byer, and Alicia Jervis. Good. Now, what we'll do is that we have our menu controller class here going from top down, which basically handles all of the button click events and windowing capabilities, prompt messages that is, in our various UIs. Here we have our timer controller, which basically handles the threads for the different games, levels, and also for pause time and unpausing the time. This is a core functionality of the game because, as you know, the timer is what the user or player will race against in order to determine whether or not the player has won or lost the game. This is our main functional area of the game, where this is where all the logical parts of the game takes place. This is our main game engine. As you can see here, we basically setting the new games, restarting games. We also determining whether or not an entry is valid, if the game has been won. Now, what we basically did logically is to create a fully solved game, pitch block game, and from that fully solved game we eliminated or removed some of the images on the different tiles, so that the user will have to figure out which image goes where in terms of following the rules of the game, which is similar to that of Sudoku. Here we have our database manager, and I will now hand you over to Alicia, who will discuss what our DB manager does really.
The database manager is responsible for the connection of the database. It deals with the insertion, selection, and deletion and updating of the database information of the respective players. And now I yield back to Jerome to continue.
Okay, now what we did was to create a specific class that handles all logic for the player statistics. In terms of, we have when was the last game played, the last game time, the best time, how many games the player would have won, the number of games played, and the number of games the player would have also lost. Now we go on to the tile class, which is just an entity in the game where everything surrounds, because each one of the little squares in the games that holds the image we consider a tile, and these tiles are manipulated by the tile manager, which would govern whether all mouse click events on the different tiles, whether or not the tile is available to place an image or mutable, whether or not it's fixed. It handles other variations of operations that governs the games in terms of where exactly a tile is located on the panel. Now, these are various UIs that we place in a package, specifically called the UI package, which handles all framing and panel capabilities of our admin login, or login for specific users also, or sign up frame that will govern if whether or not a user is currently in the database or not. We have our stats UI, our pitch block reloaded UI, which is our main game area, which has most of our core functionalities laid out there, and our welcome UI, which is just a generic welcome screen that holds information as to linkages in terms of login and sign up. We now have our administrative manager or admin manager, and I'll now hand you over to Hilary, who will discuss that in more detail.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marks. Hilary here to explain the admin manager class. The admin manager is basically a class which monitors the players of the game. This class, when run, populates a J table with all the current players that are signed or enrolled in the game. The administrative manager can basically view these users and also delete unwanted users. Okay.
Yes, back to Jerome here. Now we have our player class, which is another entity of the game, main entity of the game, where for every specific game instance, there's a specific instance of a player that is tied to it. Hence, when a player is logged in, that player's stats and everything that goes along with that player is automatically pulled and written to our database. We have also our player manager, which governs the collection and also updates and changes through the database the different fields of the players, namely their name, telephone number, and these different information as you can see here on the screen. I'll now hand you over to Alicia that will discuss what you need to do before you begin gameplay in terms of setting up our project, etc.
In order for an admin to view the player's information, a JTable was required for them to be viewed. It was required for us to have a jar file, a RF2XML file, which without it we can't get the table. So it is required for you to have it in order to view the admin's information, or the admin's UI in fact. I'll now hand you back over to Jerome to do the execution of the game.
Okay, what you'll find is that this jar file is located within our project folder. So you just add this to the library here. You'll add the jar file to the library there. Also, there's a PBR database.sql file that needs to be added before you can access the database. Okay. Now, what I was saying with the SQL file is that in PHP my admin, you'll see that our PBR database SQL file has been added here so that you will have our different tables that you can manipulate. We have our admin table, which you'll see your name, Eldon, username and password Eldon is an admin that you can use. Oh, yes, so you can use this here in order for you to log in as an admin. You have our different players that we've entered in, a few test players, and you notice here if our password field, it has been encrypted using hash methods. Okay, we have our stats table that holds the user ID for the specific, linked to the specific player's table, and the necessary information here that will be pulled when requested upon by a button click in the statistics button on the main UI. Now we will show you how exactly our game functions. A quick run through. As you can see here, this is our generic welcome screen that I was mentioning earlier, and you have your three buttons: login, sign up, and cancel. Now if you're a new user, you'd sign up. If you're an existing user, you would log in. Now if you go to sign up, you would notice that you have specific fields here that you can fill out and sign up. Okay, you can see them here. Now if you want, we can fill out the information, but this will take time, so I'll fill it out and be back with you shortly.
The top?
Yeah.
On the side?
Correct. Now what we have here is the filling out of the form. You'd notice our password field and entering entering in Ali again, just as a W version. Now, as you can see here, the date of birth of the player is specified how you must enter it in. If you enter it in incorrectly, it will prompt you with an error message when you hit on the sign up button. Now what we'll do is enter in 1999-06-04, whoever birthday that is. You select male or female. Considering that's the female-ish looking name, we'll put female. Telephone number, as you can see, if you hover over it, there's a tooltip there that specifies how the format should be. So that is 592 area code --621-5866 and email. Now we also do another error checking on email where it tests for at whateverservice.com. If you don't have that in the email field, it will again prompt you with an error message when you hit submit. So let's enter in and you give a generic address. Okay, considering we shouldn't do that, we put 155 Middle Road, blah, and good. Now we hit sign up, and you see it's being saved. Now what we'll do is enter in Ali, and we hit login. And you've been accepted into the game, which means you've now been signed up and you're a current user of the game. Now what you see here is our main game area. It tells you how to play the game with a message prompt at the start. If you read here, click on new game and proceed to play the images. It gives you a brief rundown. So hit OK. We can hit new game to begin gameplay. And you notice our timer has started here, and basically click on the buttons in the corner to place whichever image wherever. But the game has rules, and that is similar again like Sudoku, where you can't have no two pictures reoccurring in the same small square here, 3x3 square, or in the same column or in the same row, column or row. Now you can fill out all of this and restart the game, which it will eliminate all entries. You can also check entries here, which will highlight all the ones that are in green, that means they're placed correctly, and all the ones in red are what would be needed to be placed or what you would have placed incorrectly. Okay, now when you hit exit, you can quit the game, yes or no, as every game should have. Now what we'll do is divert a bit and show you just off the bat the login, or the admin login as a matter of fact. So L done should take you to our admin interface where you can search for a specific player using the PID, player ID. Okay, and it'll populate the necessary information for the specific user. Okay, so let's enter in 50, and you see for PID 50 there is Michael first name and the rest of the information in the first field there. Now you can also search for any field specific that you know is a part of the current users in the database, which you can search for Ali, and you hit search, and you see Ali is associated with PID 57, etc, etc. Okay, and you can go to options and delete a specific player. Here we enter in the player ID. Let's delete the one that we just created, Ali, and player has been deleted. As you can see, it has been updated on our database here where 57 is no longer there. Okay. Now, what we'll do is sign in with someone who I think we may have entered in a few times so you can view the stats of a specific player. Here you can see last game played for this user was today at 10:07 a.m. and the number of games that a person would have played would have been 1. So one time we would have used this player in test. Okay, we also have level select, where we can select level 1, which is the easiest, to level 3. And the timer, you will notice, will change to varying levels. You can also pause a game, where any game feature would have that you cannot see the game area. You pause it and beat the timer like that in terms of knowing where to place the different images. So the back panel would have been eliminated, or the main game area where the tiles are. If you hit OK, the timer resumes. You can also log out to the game, which will take you to the main welcome screen, but I'll now hand you over, before we go to do that, to Alicia, who will discuss the settings functionality of the game.
Yes, so we'll be going over the settings feature of the game. It has two main functionalities. It's either a user edits account or the user deletes its account. Okay, as we knew from previous, when Jerome signed in, we used David, so it's David account. We need to enter his password so as to confirm that it is him who's updating his information. Okay, says he wants to change his name to Tom John. You'll see that this player information has been updated. If we go to the back end, as you can see, after clicking refresh, Tom information was updated, as you can see here, Tom John, and his email has been changed too. So now we'll go back to the front, sign in once more as David. Only this time we'll be deleting his account. So all he has to do is just enter his password and his account will be deleted. He doesn't exist in the system anymore. And we will click refresh once more and we will see that he's not here anymore. If you look in the table, you will see that his name is not here anymore, so his account is actually deleted. He's not a player of the game anymore. We'll now hand you over back to Jerome.